Pistons went 1-1 over the weekend. They are still in first place in the Eastern Conference. They've clinched being in first place by the start of February, which is why J.B. Bickerstaff has been named one of the coaches for the All-Star game. Cade Cunningham's been named an All-Star starter. He's the first Piston to do that since Allen Iverson 2009. Things are going well for the Pistons. 32-11. It's pretty good. Here's the issue, Kyle. When they lost to the Rockets, actually they're 33-11. When they lost to the Rockets at home on Friday night, there was a couple glaring holes on this team that became even more apparent. The team's just not a good outside shooting team, and we've known this. It's not been a secret. But when they went up against this Houston team, which has a very similar personality to this Pistons team, they're rough. They're not going to, they're the bullies of the Western Conference. Not in terms of we're beating you every night, but it's tough to score on them. They're physical. They want to push you over. They want to get into a street fight. It's a very similar brand of ball that the Pistons play. And when the Pistons went up against this team, a team that they have beaten already once this season, to be clear, on the road, they go up against this team in the West, and they went down early, and it felt like they could never retake the lead because of the lack of offense from players not named Cade Cunningham. Tobias Harris, the biggest culprit. He goes 1 for 6, 0 for 3 from downtown. The team from a whole goes 7 for 32 from downtown, which is definitely my biggest fear going into a postseason series, that opposing defenses do everything they can, sell out to stop Cade Cunningham, basically tell Tobias Harris and company, knock yourself out from behind the arc. Holland, you want to shoot him from out there. Stu, you want to shoot him from out there. Ivy, you want to shoot him from out there. By all means, go for it. The only guys we're not letting shoot is Duncan Robinson. And just like that, the Pistons get schemed out of a playoff series, even though they have this incredible defense that's going to keep them in every single game. But if the threes aren't falling like they weren't on Friday night, stuff gets real concerning real fast, which ultimately leads to my take of, I think I'm even more in on trading for Michael Porter Jr. now than I was before. I think I've flipped back a couple times. I really wanted him at first. And then I said Tobias Harris is playing all right when they beat the Celtics because he had he had 26 in that game. And now I'm sitting here after Friday, ready to plant my flag one final time. It's time to trade Tobias Harris. Not because he's been such a disaster, but he's just clearly the spot on the team that's the most upgradable. He's the contract that you're willing to move on. He's expiring. He's got the money to match somebody else's salary. It's not that I hate Tobias Harris, but I don't want him to be in the team 2 weeks from today. I'm ready to say it.
Man, tough for Tobias. I mean, look, this is no different than what happened to the Pistons a year ago. They're just they're a better all-around team now. They're an even better defensive team. They've gone from a good one last year to this best in the league type defensive team.
Yeah.
So
difference was last year they had 2 shooters.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. In the playoff series last year, was that not the reason that we sat there and said, oh, man, if they just could shoot the ball better, they would have won? I mean, they had Malik Beasley, who was this insanely good shooter all season long, couldn't hit a shot in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And it was like, dang, their defense held them in all those games against the Knicks to the very end. A lot of those games were under 100 scoring games. And so now you've taken away 2 shooters, added one to Duncan Robinson. So it's like they probably even have less shooting right now as far as in a playoff series go.
For sure. Luckily, Ivy's been lights out from behind the arc.
But that's what I'm getting to. Guys like Ivy and Danis Jenkins, who might be the second and third best three-point shooters on this team. I mean, you obviously have Cade too, but those guys are not going to play big minutes in a playoff series.
No, they'll get hunted defensively.
I mean, those Danis Jenkins probably won't even play in the playoffs. And Jaden Ivey, I mean, he's playing 20 minutes right now. What's he going to get in the playoffs, So it's
played 14 against Houston.
Exactly. So to me, that's the biggest issue is at least last year you had 2 guys that got big minutes. Hardaway and Beasley were 25-plus minute a night guys that for sure. And now you have Duncan Robinson, who's that guy. But in a playoff series, you need to have multiple guys that can shoot. And
Duncan also is just – I have a feeling we're going to become pretty frustrated with Duncan Robinson in a playoff series because if he's not hitting 4 threes every game,
he's done
he's a liability.
He's hit 5 threes in 6 straight games or something like that. I actually don't know if he did last night against Sacramento, but he had a bunch in a row where he did. So.
Teams are just going to hunt him in the playoffs though, regardless. He can't really play big time minutes. You want him out there as much as possible.
I mean, he's going to, though.
You want him out there, but if I'm just thinking of like a potential matchup that could just be a total disaster. Even the Celtics, like if Tatum's healthy and they can continue to get switches on a Duncan Robinson, you can only hide him so much in a playoff series.
Right.
You can get away with it in the regular season.
The Knicks will do their best to get Brunson switched onto him, like absolutely.
Yeah, you can do your best to hide it in the regular season, but in a series, teams are just going to pick on Duncan Robinson way more than they did Beasley or Hardaway Jr. last year. Not that those guys were incredible defenders, but Duncan's a walking foul.
Right. But like nonetheless, Duncan Robinson will play 30-plus minutes a night in the playoffs. Like, no doubt about it. He did for Miami. Like, he absolutely will for the Pistons, and they need him.
Did for Miami some years, and other years he got kind of buried on the bench.
But like the Pistons need him even more than Miami did.
True.
Like Miami at least had these other guys. It was like, oh, these guys are hitting shots right now? Okay, we'll put them in. No, Duncan Robinson's their only high-volume three-point shooter. It's literally just him. So I'm with you. I just don't know if it's going to come from the Tobias spot. Like, I'm with you that they are going to trade for shooting. I think it's more likely that Karis LeVert is the contract that gets dealt, and it's just a smaller of a trade because a Tobias trade just kind of insinuates it's going to be a big trade because of his contract. There's not many $25 to $30 million making guys in the league that you're trading for that aren't these like big time trades. So I think it's more likely that it's like a LeVert and Sasser for an upgrade shooter spot because LeVert's in that $18 million range, $16 million, I think. So that's how I think it goes. And Tobias is just so vital to this team from a leadership standpoint. I know it's pretty cliche and everything, but like,
yeah, that 1 for 6 was real helpful. But those leadership skills were real helpful on Friday night. I'm not trying to like dismiss that. I'm sure that's a real thing.
Like
but
you follow the team on social media, you see everything.
They love him. They love him.
He really is, and I get it. Like I think it is just from a general management standpoint. The Tobias Harris contract should be traded. If we're just looking at it from a numbers standpoint, if you don't trade that deal while you have it on the books, it feels like a failure.
That and a team like Houston, which again, very similar personality, or even let's flip it. Obviously, this would never happen, but if the Pistons played the Pistons, would Tobias Harris ever score?
What?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, once there's these lengthy wing defenders that get matched up on Tobias Harris, he can kind of become useless pretty quickly because it's not like he's some awesome decision maker, move the ball around type of guy. Like, it's not like he's this stopgap in the offense that clogs everything up, but that's not really his game. He's a scorer. He's an isolation scorer, and the Pistons need him to be that. But as soon as an awesome defender gets put on him, which I fear happens in potentially the Knicks series could happen. They put Cat on him a ton last year.
He was good in the Knicks series last year.
Yeah, he was. But if they want to put like Mikhail or OG on him, feels like that's kind of just it for Tobias.
Yeah.
Once there's a good defender on him, he's just done.
That's fair. I also, one thing I don't like about Tobias, but it probably helps him in the long run, at least for the playoffs, is that it feels like it takes something to turn that switch on for him. It feels like something's got to happen for him to like.
Something's got to piss him off.
Right.
And Cat pissed him off last year.
Yeah, and obviously, like, I don't know how did that not work when he was in Philly? Because he wasn't great in the playoffs for them. But like, it feels like even in the regular season games, it takes something for him to get switched on. And I don't love that. It shouldn't take that, but in the playoffs.
He's an old guy.
In the playoffs, though, that probably helps him. It's a lot easier to get pissed off and to turn that switch on in a high leverage situation.
Yeah, but even a series like the Magic, who just kind of rough you up and foul a ton, like that's not a good series for Tobias Harris in my mind. Although there was a game earlier this year where he was going at Paolo, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think that was one of the games where, like you said, that flip got switched because he was really pissed at Paolo.
Yeah.
He gets pissed at a lot of guys. It does kind of wake him up, but unfortunately, I think, as much as the leadership is important and stuff, it's just a spot that you can upgrade. The Pistons absolutely need more shooting. I thought that was apparent on Friday night, and part of the reason I'm willing to give up Tobias and Ivy for a guy like Michael Porter Jr. to just help out Cade.
Yeah.
It feels like, a team like the Rockets had 3 different guys to throw at Cade between Amen Thompson and Tari Eason and even a Jabari Smith and Kevin Durant when they get switched on him. There's just such long defensive dudes on that team. You kind of look at a Knicks team that is very similar last year, even though that series came down to the wire. It's not like Cade was awesome because they had Mikhail to guard him. They had OG Anunoby to guard him. They had all these different options. The Celtics are going to have something similar if Tatum's back as well. You just need as much help around him as possible. And right now it feels like they don't really have that at all. Less so than they did last year.
Yeah.
Because at least last year you could run all this crazy off-ball action for Malik Beasley. Duncan's doing that to some extent, but you really want that to be your like secondary offense if Cade's not going? No.
And like I do personally think Duncan is a better all-around player than Malik Beasley was. But like you said, it doesn't really matter just from if he's the only guy, then it's too much pressure on him.
Beasley had also just the irrational confidence last year because, he had one of the 10 greatest three-point shooting seasons of all time.
And he had money on himself every game too. So it's
can't say that. You can't say that.
I will say though, I think that what's going to help the Pistons because it feels like the vibe right now of the NBA trade deadline is that like. It doesn't really feel like much is going to happen. That's kind of the sense that you're getting.
There's some Giannis stuff.
Yeah, but like that seems to be said every year,
right?
Well,
some years nothing happens.
That it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's always trades. Like always trades, you're like, whoa, I didn't think that was going to happen. Okay, like there's something.
Well, regardless of what trades happen, I'm willing to draw the line at Ron Holland. That guy I said this last week, so it's not like this nuanced take. I'm not trading Ron Holland for anybody at this year's deadline. Anything short of Giannis. Like, unless Giannis is available and they can move off of Ron Holland for Giannis, I'm good on trading Ron Holland.
What if Wemby was available?
Okay. They should trade Goff for Josh Allen. No, like, I don't want to trade Ron Holland. I think that guy had an incredible weekend. He's embraced everything it means to be a Detroit Piston. They've embraced him as well. Let's talk about that when we come back because, man, he was incredible against Houston. It felt like he was the only guy who was like, I'm not afraid of these dudes. And then he got ejected yesterday during the game, which was awesome. Great weekend for him. 989-837-6125. This is the Ben Bosscher Show.